You're listening to the Full-Time Podcast with Matt, Alex and Marcel.
The Socceroos were up next in the desert oasis of LA at the Hazard bin Zayed Stadium, but it wasn't enough, and it was a total mess, really. I thought credit to Jordan and the way they set up. They played really, really well, especially Bani Yassin and Bani Yatin. A really disappointing performance, really something that we should be fearful of because, the squad problems, we can look at it and say there's one thing wrong, but they were miserable, weren't they, Shanen? I'll go to you first.
I think, we can talk about all the players who were missing injury and whatnot, till we're blue in the face. But the real problem for me with the Socceroos was they were just lacking leadership on the pitch. I mean, we talk about losing Tim Cahill and all these goals and whatnot. But the biggest part of Cahill's game for me was the fact that he could rally the team and, he was just a great leader. In the match versus Jordan, there was a time where we needed someone to just step up and go, okay, boys, we've gone behind. We need to rally together. We can get a result out of this. And just no one stood up, in my opinion.
Marcel, look, the line problems are going to be a bit of a disaster for us. But when we look at the likes of not having Moy or possibly Rogic in the setup, is it actually even that much of a hindrance, given that they don't really perform that well in the Socceroos shirt to begin with?
Look, I think a side like Jordan, compared against a side like Australia, needed to be disposed of straight away. Especially because we're defending Asian Cup champions. We needed to basically set our foot on our imprint on the tournament, and I think that Jordan claiming the scalp gives other sides in the group, that air of confidence that if Jordan can do it, so can we. As you mentioned before, Rogic and Moy, for their clubs, they're fantastic players, but for some reason they don't rally well enough in the national team. And you can tell the way that Rogic was playing in his body language and his just the way he was just playing in that game. It didn't scream of, I am in the Asian Cup, I need to represent my country well enough. It just felt like, I'm here, I'll do what I have to do. If we win, we win. We lose, we lose.
The only high point for the unit as a whole, really, and even Arnold saying before the game that we just need to discipline, but not saying it in an expert way, just being a real dickhead. And there's no other way to put it. He was really incredibly disrespectful, especially to an opposing manager like Borkelmans. But the only shining light for Australia was Alan Mabil, who's been playing especially well for Midtjylland at the moment. But he really stood up in that game, and it's disappointing then that we were trying to play on that right wing so much. We were trying to utilise Mabil and use his pace, but he was running into Bani Yassin the whole time, and Bani Yassin just had his number. And it was frustrating then that we didn't have a plan B, we didn't have a second route. It was get the ball onto that right wing and go for it. Why then weren't we switching the play and going on the left, or even just trying to outmuscle them, through the middle of the park? It was quite frustrating. But Mabil stepped up and he was really good despite. So, I don't know if we can look at it as much as Jordan being fantastic, and there's no doubting they were. There's no doubting that Vitor Borkelmans is an incredible manager. But it's frustrating that we didn't have that second route, and what can be done to fix that up? If Arnold's going to play that one way, and it's all that Socceroos managers have done, in living memory in this decade, really, we've only had that one route and we've refused to go otherwise. Van Marwijk, didn't really care too much anyway, and Ange stuck to his back three. So if Arnold's going to be this stubborn and prove that that there is no other route to play, then perhaps we deserve to be shocked by Jordan, and perhaps Palestine deserves us to give a bit of a shock as well. I mean, honestly, it's disgusting and it needs to be fixed.
Look, for me personally, I'm just going to say this. I don't know if Shanen, how you feel about it, but I think that the Socceroos need to show more respect to Middle Eastern sides. I don't know, for some reason we always disregard the Middle Eastern part of football as, it's enough, like they're easy beats, they're walkovers. And I think historically we've struggled in the Middle East and against Middle Eastern sides. Like, yes, we qualified to the World Cup, but we didn't actually beat Syria. We never beat them. We only won on aggregate against, like a tied aggregate against them. We never actually outright beat them. And just remember this: they were literally a goalpost away from qualifying ahead of us.
Shanen?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Particularly Jordan. I think, what is this, our third or fourth loss to Jordan in the past 5 or so years? They always seem to be a banana skin for us, so I don't know why we didn't give them the respect. Another thing, I'm not sure why the Socceroos can't play in the Middle East yet. We always seem to do very poorly. I mean, we've been in Asia since 2007, and we constantly hold our training specifically in the Middle East. So I'm not really sure what the excuse is anymore. It used to be, oh, the climate, such a shock. But now, like 11, 12 years later, what's the excuse for not performing in the Middle East?
Well, don't majority of our players play in the Middle East anyway? Well, not majority, but they don't have a fair few of them play in the Middle East, so surely they should know what it's like to play against Middle Eastern sides.
I know that Mark Milligan, especially as captain, spent a fair few years at Bani Yassin in the UAE. And it was disappointing then that he couldn't be proved to be a bit of a guidance for playing in a stadium like the Hazard. That really did disappoint me and shock me. But yeah, you know, it's one thing with the condition and the climate, but the disrespect is just disgusting. And in many ways, I'm actually happy that Jordan won this game, because it's disgusting that we can look at any side in this competition, any side at all, in top 3 or 4, and just dismiss them straight away. And as I'm about to get through, there is a particular pot 3 side that has just totally blown us away in this tournament. I know it's been one game, but boy, were they impressive. In fact, shall we move on, or are we done? Anything else to say on the Socceroos?
One thing I want to mention about the Socceroos is, apart from Ryan and probably Mabil and Baich, I think the whole starting 11 from that game, their spots are under fire. I was particularly disappointed in Massimo Luongo. There was all the talk that he didn't get a single minute at the World Cup, and you know he's one of our best central midfielders. He had an absolute shocker, and when Jackson Irvine come on, he definitely made a difference. So I think there's going to be wholesale changes in the next match.
Do we even have like the depth and or the squad to do that? Because by all reports, we only have 16 fit players in the 23.
No, I don't think we have the depth, to be honest.
No,
I really don't. Like our midfield seems really bare, and our attack, like I have no idea where the goals are going to come from.
Yeah, well, there's lots of talk of Apogiano coming in to start against Palestine. And if we're resorting to Apogiano, now don't get me wrong, I love Giano. I actually love him as a bloke. Think he's a fantastic footballer. I think he's deserved most of the Socceroos caps that he's gotten, especially in that last qualifying period. But if he's the starting option, we're fucked. Like, how has it gotten to the fact that pretty much our 5th or 6th string striker is the one that's starting, and perhaps that's even being a bit too kind, you know? He's perfectly fine as like an impact sub player, and I do say that about a lot of players, but perhaps that's just the nature of it, you know? It's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating, and I'm not sure there is a whole lot that we can do, but that doesn't mean that Arnie should be using it as an excuse. Stop playing Route 1 football, do something else, be different. This Palestine side, you know, we'll touch on later, they will have us defensive the same way Jordan did, so we have to really act and be smart. And you know, Graham Arnold, I'm really worried that he just won't be able to capture that.